All right. Good morning to all. We are here on November 1st, mid-morning. I've got Bitcoin up here, and we just continue to roll. So at this point, we're blowing to and through targets as we go here, and we can see now as I look here at the 4-hour on Bitstamp, you know, these targets up here are well in sight. It looks fairly likely that we're going to be challenging the 7,000 level fairly soon. So how do we trade it? Well, if you're not in, it's been very tricky, and the opportunities have been very short-lived, and you had to really jump on them quickly. And it's been tricky to trade, right? So that's, you know, you have to just adapt to what the market is offering you, and sometimes, you know, you're not going to catch it. And it's always better to stay consistent with your approach rather than try and chase something. That's, of course, the FOMO that you want to be in it, right? So if you're not in it, you know, you're struggling with that sense of that feeling of missing out. But it's almost always going to be a mistake if you break your rule set or just, you know, jump in to be a part of it. I think that just sets up some bad habits that won't serve you well over your lifetime as a trader. So let's look at how we can trade it. Now, you know, as we look here on the 4-hour, this is our last pivot low. Now, I still currently have this labeled here as a triangle, and this being our 4. Now, sure, we could potentially be relabeling this as our 4 down here. We could put that down here, and this may end up being a 1-2. But in terms of where our entry points are, it really at this point doesn't matter as much because from this move here, we've now gone impulsive, and that's where the opportunities to add are going to be if we can find one. So we're here. So from this last pull, we had the very shallow retrace here to the 38.2, and we're to and through that target here, which was 64.69, and next upside targets here, which are very much in line with our structure here, would be in this pocket between 67.70 and call it 6900. So those are inside. We could be there before I finish recording this video. So that is likely target, and then of course we have even targets up above. You know, big cluster as we get up over 7,000, which at this point looks inevitable. So let's go down a time frame. Let's move from the 4-hour to the 1-hour and see if we can get a handle on it. Now again, here's that last low that I still maintain as an E wave. So does that make sense? Does this move here offer a structure so that we can get a sense of where we are and where there might be opportunities to catch this with the kind of risk-reward profile that we look for? So we do get this very nice subdivision here to complete this, what I'm labeling as a 1 wave, and a very shallow 2. Now, the 2 wave, is much more typical. That's why we were, now we're 2 days away from it. We were trying to buy this low down here at the 50 and the Vegas wave, but the market doesn't give it to us. It's not unheard of for a second wave to be that shallow. It's certainly not the norm. But if we go back and we look at our statistical reference that I referred to and would encourage you to use, we can see that 12% of the time, in a raging bull market, 12% of the time, a wave 2 can and will retrace to the 38.2, and that appears to be what we have. Of course, the vast majority are between the 50 and the 618. So if we head back to our 1-hour, does this make sense? Well, if this is our 1-2, then we can start projecting for our wave 3, and you can see that's exactly what I've got. So let me see if I can grab this. And if I wiggle this, you see that range up above. This is our likely target. This is the 1618 to the 175, which we know statistically is the highest probability for a wave 3. So we've already met the minimum requirements here of 100%. This is in maroon here, this little window where we had this box drawn. So we had multiple targets there. Now we're 2. We've gone through and we're stalling a little bit there, but I think just likely reloading for the continued march higher. So we can absolutely call this a wave 3. Now, do we have a top in yet, or are we just going to continue rolling here? we'll have to go down to the 15-minute to get a better handle on that. But we are seeing very technical trading. It's not been easy trading because the fake out here is just the demand is so strong, is that we're getting shallow retracements, very shallow retracements, and it really all across the whole crypto sphere. The trading has been tricky. So we're getting truncated C's, we're getting incomplete force. It's just the relentless higher prices coming from Bitcoin are making the alts, really challenging to trade, because you want to participate there. And I know many of you, will always be looking to trade an alt to Bitcoin, but you've got to, keep in mind if Bitcoin continues to roll here, what is that going to do to your alt that's spread against it? So just something to keep in the back of your mind. But I will always tell you, you have to trade what you see and not try and overanalyze it, right? So if you're shying away from all the alts because you don't want to spread them against Bitcoin, you really have two choices: spread them against the dollar or the euro or whatever currency you choose, or you don't trade it, right? So, or you just simply look at it and evaluate it on its merits. If you just consider that I don't want to trade anything against Bitcoin right now, well, that's going to pretty much keep you out of a whole lot of markets. So there are always going to be alts that are moving and that are outperforming Bitcoin on the day, and we'll look at some of those throughout the course of the day, and we've looked at them throughout the whole week, because this is awfully challenging for anything to be spread against it. But there will be coins that will move with it and outperform it. So we'll get there in a minute. But let's finish up here on Bitcoin. So we can see here now that we've got a nice fat target up here. That it's a question of when we get there. If we get there here, in the near term, then we're in nice alignment with our median line, right, which we want to pay attention to, because we've had this has been so technical. The expectation is we're moving towards an intersection with the median line. So if we just look at, this is why I like the pitchfork, because it gives you a sense of time with it. So if we're going to hit it, here's our target here, but now we're not to the median line. So maybe we're going up to this upper target. I mean, those are all possibilities. We might end up relabeling this whole thing if we keep rolling here, and that's certainly a possibility. This is the negative 1.618 of this move here, so that's equally technically valid. We could just be moving that far. So, how do you know? How do you get a handle on where you are in that structure? Well, we'll take it down to the 15-minute and see if we can get a handle on where we are in that structure. Now, you get a little more clarity here. So here, this is the entire move as I have it currently. And you can see this very nice subdivision. So here's the 5-wave sequence that completes this move here, currently labeled as a 1-wave. We get the nice 3-wave subdivision for the second. This is the shallow second wave. Then we again go impulsive, and we continue to be within this wave structure here. We don't know if this is the top yet, but at this point it looks like we might have some modest correction underway. And you can see there's some structure here, and then some fib targets that would be likely candidates for re-entry if we were to get the opportunity to do it. So as you look at that, with this action around the median line, this sets up the possibility that either we're just stalling here before we head up to the other edge of the median line, or what we're all hoping for is that we get a modest pullback here because we get this nice box here. So we have the structure of the third wave high offering a little support there, potentially as a front run to the 38.2 for the 4. So we get this little window down here as potentially the next opportunity to be a buyer off of this structure. But to do that, Bitcoin's got to go from 6609, which we'd be trying to get long at 6450. I mean, as strong as it is, that we may not get that. But if you were just basing it off of what the chart is offering to you, that's your next option. Otherwise, you're speculating. You're just trying to chase here. You're buying it here up at these highs, anticipating the move at least to the algo target here at negative 23. what you end up doing is you break a rule, as I've said, you're setting up potentially a bad habit of a chase. Now yes, you've had a shallow retracement here. Maybe that's an A wave. Maybe there's a, I want to caution you from doing that. I know it's so tempting because you've got these fat targets up here, but wait for your trade. Right? Forcing the trade almost always, for multiple reasons, is a bad idea. Sometimes you're going to hit it, and Bitcoin may just be strong enough that it just keeps rolling and you get away with it. But I would encourage you to think twice. If you're committed to just being in the market, at least don't overload here. Right, because we have not had any meaningful. We haven't even had a 50% retracement throughout this entire move. Everything has been shallow. Some at 23, some at 38. We've yet to hit a 50, and at some point, the odds are that we're going to get a 50. So that could put. So if you were a buyer here, if we get a 50, now you're long at 66, and the 50 is down here at 63. So that's a 300-point move because you were impatient. It's trader's choice there, but I would encourage you to be patient and wait for the trade to set up. You'll be more comfortable getting in. You'll be more comfortable pulling the trigger. You won't be, if you get stopped out, all you'll do is just be kicking yourself for not being disciplined, right? So a whole cycle of negative thoughts start to ripple through your mind, and it's already hard enough to do this. So you don't want to add that negative, mind screwing that you'll end up doing to yourself. So I know I'm harping on this, but be patient. Wait for your trade. So here's where the trade is, right? So if you knew nothing about this asset, if you didn't know anything about it, and you just brought this chart up and said, well, where's my next opportunity to get long based on this wave count? Well, it's sitting right here. Right, so the opportunity, may come and may not. It may just keep rolling, but eventually there will be an advantageous spot to enter with reasonable risk. So if it's not here, patience will serve you well. All right, so that's pretty much as much as I can offer you as we sit here. This is your opportunity to be getting long. Be patient and wait for it. Otherwise, you're rolling the dice. Right? Maybe you catch this move. Maybe it keeps going, but the damage psychologically, if it starts to retrace, may not be worth it. All right, that's a wrap for now.